let's get the math right now. There's 24 years until I retire. How much money will I need? Coming up. Hey there, welcome to the Banking Bros Podcast, where we make money matters feel like a convo with friends. Remember Words with Friends?
I do.
Little Money with Friends.
Yeah. And today, I'm hosting the episode. So I'm Jonah JDew, and I'm, of course, here with my brother,
JDew.
And today, we're diving into a huge question that's on everyone's mind, and that is, how much money do I actually need to retire? Right? So let's face it, you plan for retirement, it can be super confusing. It can be just as confusing as trying to make it through a maze, it seems sometimes. But today we're making it a lot easier to find your way out of this maze. So we're going to break down steps that you need to calculate and how much you need to save or maybe invest and make sure you're on track to live the retirement of your dreams.
Let's do it. Here's the point. If you're trying to get to the beach and live your desirement years, the one where you get all the things that you desire, you're going to have to do some math here. Here's the problem, Jonah. Let's start off. I think we baited them. Now let's switch them. How much money do you need? It's impossible to know.
Yeah,
it's impossible to figure out.
Right.
Yeah. How much will things cost in 24 years? I'll be 65 in 24 years. Is that a good retirement number?
Just like 65 years?
Yeah.
Like just being
65 years old?
Some people going for 65. Some people are going for 60.
Most people
try to do their math, and then they'll try to tell you, no, I'm going for 70 or 75
Well, most
or
of the people are realizing that
Yeah.
they can't go
Right.
at 65 because longevity, how long are you going to live? We ask these questions all the time.
Again, how can you know? But if you live a long, full life, maybe you're going to make it to 90, 95, 100.
Maybe things are going up right now. Of course, we've got median ages and some life expectancy numbers that are like 78, maybe average between men and women right now. But as people live to that age, especially married people who make it to 65, I've heard they're averaging 90. If you're married at 65, one of you is living to 90 for sure.
Retire
2 hours later.
You're just alive.
You're still alive, still here, still here. And of course, you need money. How about the tax situation in the future?
I have no idea. Though, in the way that the world's shaking out, it could be higher than what we are now. It could be the same. It could be somebody could come in and make it lower. I don't know. I don't know what the taxes are going to be.
So many things. And what about healthcare costs?
Ooh, healthcare costs. Don't get me started.
Right?
That's a big bruh.
So many things out there. Now, we want to let you know here at the Cash Compound, we have a community and a culture of code cracking cash flow conversations. Yeah, that was a lot of C's for you, but we really are talking about cash, and cash flow is king. So if you want to join us in this conversation outside of our podcast channels, please do. You can find us on FBIGTT and
X. Yeah.
FBIGYT, YouTube.
Okay.
I missed that one.
And X.
Yeah. So, and X. Okay. So thanks a lot, Elon, for not keeping with the rhyme scheme.
What was it before? Just Twitter.
TT. It could have been Twitter, but then TikTok. So like it's still.
Okay.
Yeah.
T-Dub.
T-Dub,
I don't know. Anyway, let's jump into it here.
Oh, goodness.
Let's talk about how much you really need to retire. So I think, like I stated before, that planning for this can be super overwhelming to the average American. I truly think that. But I think that if you've got somebody or a helpful podcast episode to listen to that can help you walk through how much you need to save in order to plan for this retirement, that it could be really, really helpful. Now, if you've been on our channel before, you realize that not only do we talk about saving for retirement, absolutely saving for retirement as opposed to investing for retirement, we also talk about this idea of cash flow. And that's really important. But for right now, we're gonna pause on cash flow. We're gonna come to that a little later. Let's talk about the savings element, because for a really long time, everybody was saving for retirement. They were going for this nest egg approach.
Yes.
They were going for this, if I can accumulate $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, big pile of money, then when I get to that age, whatever it is, 59, 60, 65, 70, I should be good to go. I can then live off my pile of money. Lots of people tried to save their way there. Lots of people tried to invest their way there. Let me give you some helpful tips and tricks on where to start. I think the first place you got to start is you've got to know your monthly expenses. You got to know what you spend money on, what's important to you. I'm talking about health, health care, right?
Yep.
Insurance, out of pocket, that sort of thing. I'm talking about your housing. I'm talking about your utilities. I'm talking about your groceries, your daily living costs. I'm talking about your entertainment. You got to add them all up.
Transportation.
You got to put them in there, right? That's important. So we've started with this know your monthly expenses on a few different episodes here lately. We talked about budget.
We talked about budgeting.
Know
right.
your monthly expenses.
We talked about the emergency fund.
You got to know your monthly expenses. You got to know what your insurance deductibles are.
All right.
Now we're talking about retirement, and we're starting with you have to know what you spend money on.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So there is a thread going on here. If you're listening to our podcasts in sequential order, you're binging them, you're getting the gist. And I hope that means that you're checking into at least your bank statements. They're digital on your phone. If you have not been writing things out or Excelling them, Google Sheeting them, you can at least go look inside your own app, whether it's USAA, I use that. Maybe you're a little Wells, Bank of America, Chase, JP Morgan, whatever. There is a way to go check. Just add them up and even get yourself. This is what I do. I'm not to the dollar type of guy. I know you are.
Okay. I normally am, yeah.
Yes. So here's a tip for folks who are not the to the dollar people. You're going to guesstimate your averages. So you're going to guess what the future might be from the actual estimates that you have, and you're going to inflate those numbers. So if you've got $3,500 of household living expenses, then you might just guesstimate $4,000.
Yep.
So you can be ready. That's easy. You don't have to check every month. You don't have to check every day.
Yep.
Just say, all right, $4,000 for this one.
There is,
right?
So I am a to the dollar person. When I look at my expenses, I know exactly what the number is down to the cents. But there are some expenses that change. And so anytime that I'm doing a little bit of an estimate or guesstimation or setting up for the future, I do typically round up, like you're saying.
Yeah, just round up.
Right. So like, for instance, my utility bill can fluctuate. The electric, I could use more power this month, or I turned on the fireplace and that's natural gas this month, but I didn't have it in the middle of summer, that sort of thing. And so normally $200 or whatever it is for that specific utility, and I might round up and I might go, well, if I'm going to estimate and say a year from now, this is exactly how much I need to have in order to comfortably take care of this, I might say 250.
There you go.
Right? Or 300.
Yeah. So we give you that permission to guesstimate it without tying yourself to a budget number you have to try to remember or actually stick to. Round up by looking at your financials. And that means just logging into your bank statements. Many of you are doing this already. We understand that. But so many of you are new to this idea of cash flow and cracking the code in your personal economy that maybe you can just start there.
Yep.
Download the sheet or look at the sheet on your phone and say, here's my number. Now, here's the question that I have for you and everybody else. Jonah, throw it in the comments for everybody right now. When you first started doing budgeting, because you are a guy who's going to be specific about it, what surprised you? Was it that entertainment? Was it how much you were actually spending on those, on that Netflix and chill? You were like, I didn't realize how expensive chill was.
It wasn't the Netflix that surprised me.
Okay.
I had a handle on that, right? Whatever it is now. It's up now. It's $19.99.
Is it?
Or something. I don't know.
Because entertainment, that's one of the categories you mentioned, and lots of people are probably overdoing it.
I don't have Netflix currently. I haven't had it in a while, but I think it's up. It's expensive. Not what it used to be. But the one that surprised me the most was actually the fast food, eating out restaurants. It was wild. So the first time I ever did a budget, I was probably I was working for a floor cleaning company.
I remember those days.
I used to wear these terrible green shirts, drive all around the state of South Carolina and clean in floors. And
third shift.
Yeah, we clean
second
them,
and third shift.
Second and third, because we have to clean the floors after the company's close, right? We come in to the bank after the bank was closed and clean the floor. And so we used to eat out a lot, right? Because you got to start again, we had contracts all over the state of South Carolina, so sometimes you'd come in at noon, you'd maybe bring a lunch or just go get lunch. You'd drive 3 hours to a different part of the state. You'd get the keys to that bank. We'd wait for the bank to close another hour, 2 hours, whatever, and then we'd come back and we'd clean, and then you'd go home. So it was not the worst thing in the world. I mean, 6 hours of driving sometimes in a shift, and only 2-3 hours of cleaning. Not the worst thing in the world. But because we were out like that, we used to eat out. So the first time I ever did a budget was I'm thinking I was a senior in high school, first year of college, something like that, and I believe the number was in the 300s, if I'm not mistaken, high 300s, 380, 390 that I spent on fast food in a month. And I thought to myself, that's just too high. It was just too much.
Right.
Fast food dollars.
Right.
And so I
forget
started
my
to
check is $600.
Yeah, I started
and I'm
to
eating
realize,
half of it at Arby's curly fries.
I started to realize, like, bread, PB&J does not cost anywhere close to this, and that would cut down, $60 because I could just bring 2 sandwiches per shift or something, and that cuts out one trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it was like, oh, I gotta fix this. So that was the first time I ever did it. That was the most surprising thing. Now that I'm a grown adult, I've got a family. I've been tracking it pretty well, so nothing really stands out and surprises me. I mentioned on a previous podcast episode there was a spike in the power bill a few weeks ago, and that surprised me because we couldn't figure out what it was. It was extra $100.
Did you figure it out?
Nope.
Since
No
the last recording?
Nope. No idea.
We're still on a mystery, folks. So if we can get you out there, Ghostwriter, help us out. So here's mine, because as of this morning in the recording of this podcast, I came in with Will, our producer, after dropping off the car at the shop last night. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Family van went to the shop last night. They called on the way in just about an hour ago, and the estimate on, check this. Check this. There was 1 or 2 things, and I took it to the dealer.
Okay.
Right? The dealer is conveniently located close to you, so I could get a ride, around. And then I live close to our producer. He gave me a ride in, so I said, I'll just take it to the dealer. I'm going to get one estimate from the dealer. We have a trip right now, so I'm also trying to go on the game of the convenience of not needing the car for 2 days.
Yep.
We're flying out today for a seminar. The number's $3,000.
Okay.
On everything. So that's the one that gets me. It's being prepared in advance for knowing I'm going to spend $8,000 on keeping my car going this year.
Yeah, so when I love it that we're talking about this. We're kind of harping on know these expenses a little more before we get into the other things that we think are going to be helpful for retirement. But I love that you mentioned it. I mean, I did the same thing. I track stuff like that. So like I've got a document that talks about when I bought my last car, I calculated how much it cost me that I had spent to keep the other car active. So I put those numbers down on paper so I know. So that way, for me, it helped me make the decision to say, I'm actually going for a new car with warranty because the last car that I had cost me the same price as the new car to upkeep it. So either I spend it up front and I don't have the stress, or I go used again or whatever I want to do, and I know it's coming. It always costs me that. But now I have the stress, and now I have to figure out the trip and the travel, and I just didn't want it. So I had all those numbers written down before I made the decision on the last car purchase. And that was really, it gave me peace of mind. And that's what we're trying to say to you at home. Know those monthly expenses, calculate that, because it can give you peace of mind in the decision-making time.
There you go.
So once you get your expenses calculated, let's pretend that you say all of my expenses in each month, including your debt service, write it all down, equal $4,000 a month. I'm just making up a number. $4,000 a month.
Yep.
So here's what you got to do. You got to multiply that over a year. 4,000 times 12.
48,000.
48,000. And then here's what's key. You've got to multiply that by your retirement years.
There you go.
So this
That's number 2.
where it gets tricky.
All right. Yes. How many years do you need it? So we used to play this game, and we do still. You can listen to a very old podcast, and it helps people frame up how much money they're going to need in the long run by taking that number and multiplying it by how many years from retirement, no active income from working. Let's assume that for the moment.
Yep. And
multiply that until you die. How many years till you die?
So you said earlier in the episode you think you might retire around 65.
I asked. Just let me know in the comments. Is that a good age for me to consider it?
That's right. So let's pretend again. I mean, how long are you gonna make it? 85, 90?
And that's the thing. Don't know. So let's say that I live a healthy, longer-ish life.
Okay.
Because life expectancy right now, like I said, is like 78. But let's go to 90.
Okay. So that's 25 years.
25 years of retirement.
Seems like a long retirement. Also, you ever think about that? 25 years of retirement.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
go.
gonna be great.
I don't like.
I don't want to be so old.
I don't like. Well, yeah, my knee hurts now. I don't like working now, people.
Okay. So here's our deal. We had our number. We calculated our expenses. We had them down to the T. We talked about our entertainment. We talked about our debt service. We talked about the unexpected things like the car. We talked about it. We got $48,000 a year. Now we need to multiply that by 25 years. That's how long you're going to be retired. And that equals $1.2 million. You guys can check me at home if you like. Get your calculators out. $1.2 million needed for retirement.
Now, here's the kicker on this one, folks, is there's so many kickers.
There's a lot of kickers.
There's so many kickers, so I take that back. Ladies and gentlemen, kicker number 1, what if you live longer than that?
Yep.
Kicker number 2, what if your $48,000 a year in retirement does not buy what you need anymore?
Inflation,
right. Okay, stagflation, deflation, Watergate. What's the one with the Deflategate?
Deflategate.
All of them, whatever. Okay, so
kicker number 3.
Taxes. I don't know what taxes might be, and that is our big number 3. Let's move on to that. Accounting for inflation and taxes are huge, but also healthcare.
Healthcare costs.
True or false, your healthcare costs will be higher
through the roof
from 65 to 90 than they are
today.
That's
when you need the healthcare.
And that's assuming, number 1, that you're healthy-ish now. Some of you have like high healthcare issues now, and we feel for you, but most of us will just have skyrocketing healthcare costs because we will start to wear out.
I feel like healthcare costs are expensive now. And last time you walk into the doctor's office, you walk in, I feel like they look at you like this. As soon as you walk in, they just
100%. You remember John Q? You remember Denzel and John Q?
Oh yeah, that was a good movie too. He was gonna hold the place up.
Yes, he did.
He couldn't get the
yes, he did. I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving here with. I'm from round away. I'm leaving with something.
That's a good movie.
Okay, so those are huge things. Account for inflation, taxes. We're going to add in there healthcare costs, and we already talked about your longevity. We don't actually know how long you're going here. Yep. So there are tools, by the way, while we give you into despair and we drop you off in that pit, we want to remind you that here at the Cash Compound, we teach the save and spend system, which allows for guaranteed income, not a pile, for the rest of your whole life, income tax free. Because, Jonah, as you liquidate some of your assets, a lot of listeners out there have qualified plans. A lot of listeners out there have mutual funds. A lot of listeners out there have things they might sell, like real estate, in their desirement years.
That's right.
And then you're going to have income challenges with your taxes. Things will change. Your brackets will change. Your deductions will change. Those are huge when you have kids in the house, when you're paying mortgage and you have interest. As those things change, you've also got to, as you climb the mountain to get to the point, coming down the mountain effectively is very, very key.
That's it.
As well.
So here's what I want to do. I want to do 2 things. Let's talk about the saving space and the investing space. So for you, we've determined you need about $1.2 million in order to retire. This is before inflation and taxes. So we're going to need a little more, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. If you wanted to save your way to 1.7, that means you told us earlier you got 24 years until you retire.
Yep.
And you're going to be retired for 25 years. So we need to take that number, 1.4, 1.5, whatever
Let's
it is.
do 1.5.
And we've got to divide
1.5.
24, right?
By 24, because it's 24 years. I'm 41 as of this recording. To get to 65, to have this pile that we generally think is not the best way to go about it, I'm going to need each year to save up $62,500.
Yep, every year.
So how's everybody doing? And if you miss this year, 2025, and do not save or have or generate 62.5, then you have more to do next year to get to that. How's everybody doing?
Save your way. That's how you save your way. Got to be putting away $62,500 every single year for the next 24. It's the only way you're going to make it.
And how are you doing that?
I'm not doing so well at saving my way to retirement currently. 62.5?
62.5? You have more years than me, in theory.
Right.
But I,
but
of course,
I'll need more money.
Of course, use the infinite banking concept for my savings structure. So I do have a very high savings rate compared to everyone else by putting dollars inside the program.
I thought you were skipping ahead, man. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh, well, I'm just letting the people know. We're not going to leave you hanging forever, people.
Okay. So here's what I wanted to do now. Saving $62.5. Got to save it every year. What about if you invest it? Now, investment's going to introduce some things we haven't talked about yet in this episode.
Risk.
The main one being risk.
It's
right?
not
That's
a problem to invest. We do invest. Hear us out. But saving is a different style of accumulation than risk, than investing, because that implies risk and implies waiting to be able to use money, because what if we can use our income to generate dollars?
Yep.
Several things to think about. Time is a big circle, ladies and gentlemen. It keeps coming round and round again. So you've got to think multidimensionally here. So, Jonah, help us understand one other concept that we've talked about recently on one of our episodes to help people think through what their typical financial planner is talking about when they're trying to come down the mountain.
Oh, sure. So I think you're talking about the 4% rule. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what the 4% rule is all about. A typical financial planner will tell you that in retirement, you actually should only take out 4% of your entire nest egg, that you should safely withdraw 4% every year in order to not run out of money, because that's a big thing for people in the retirement age. If you've accumulated this lump sum, 1.5, you can't splurge a year. Right? You can't splurge a year on those expenses. We calculated them. I need this much. I can't splurge a year and spend 100 one year, 200,000 one year, because what happens on the back end? I'm going to run out of money, right?
Yeah, I'll outlive my money, which is a huge
especially if your
fear.
dollars are invested, because you still have the market waves up and down, S&P 500 up and down, whatever you're invested in, while you're withdrawing. And that can be a humongous detractor that a lot of people don't realize. Withdraw money out of the plan or program, and then it's a bad year and you lose. It's really, really tough. So the average financial planner is going to tell you you can withdraw 4%, out of your nest egg every year. So here's what that means. If you've got 1.5 in savings, 1.5, do you know what 4% of 1.5 is? I'm going to ask.
I'm going to guess 7,000.
Every single year? No, it's got to be higher than that, man.
Wait, I'm sorry.
70,000? Yeah. Okay, 70,000 your guess? Here we go. I got it. I'm going to put it in the...
I'm doing the best I can.
60,000.
60,000.
$60,000 is your yearly 4% rule that you can take out if you were to make it to 1.5 in our example here on this episode.
Hit zero after I turn 90 years old.
Hit zero after you turn 90 years old. And so the huge elephant in the room is, does 60, when 24 years from now when you're retiring, cover all the stuff?
And did it ever drop? Because I had my nest egg in a place that was invested, like you're mentioning.
Right.
So if I'm in there in a bear market, I'm in trouble, because I have dropped, I have dipped from the market, and I have pulled and withdrawn. I also have taxes.
Yep.
Right? This is going to change things for you. So let's throw in something fun here right quick before we move on to other sources of income. And that is, I've heard that if you put your face on in one of those apps on your phone that age you, make you look old. Maybe you can do it now with AI. It's probably easy, real easy. Everybody can do it now. You don't have to give China all your information. They've already got it. That people who look at themselves in the future, literally stare at yourself in an old face.
They make better decisions.
They make better decisions.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Maybe
the more you think about,
turn my family portrait into old people.
The more you look at it,
put it in the office.
Like, just age your kids. Yeah, age your kids 10 years, right? And age your dog 10 years. Age your house 10 years. People make better decisions when they realize, if I can't stand my backyard fence now, next summer, when the kids start playing football and run through it 3 times, right? When I see myself old, I see myself going, I'm not pulling 10-hour days looking like that old busted guy.
Yeah, that's
so
funny.
I have to make better decisions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
I like that. That's a little pro tip.
I'm just trying to help the people, give them what they want.
Right.
Okay, so other income sources. Remember, there are other ways most people are expecting to have a few dollars here and there. One of them is
Social Security.
Social Security. Now, everybody knows Social Security is not a stable thing because of the government's overspending like crazy. Okay, so Doge right now
could be here, could not be here. Nobody knows.
Everybody knows at this time we're somewhere in the $37 trillion of government debt.
That's right.
Okay, so we cannot service that debt anymore. We're getting to the point where we cannot service the interest, let alone pay off the principal. Okay, these are astronomical numbers. And let me help you. Everybody is fired up, yay or nay, about Doge.
Yep.
Fired up. And about how much has President Elon said that they're saving in the year, 1 year?
I don't remember. Is it 1 trillion? Is it
No.
that high?
No.
Is it a bunch of billions then?
150 billion,
Okay.
I think is what I heard last.
Okay.
150 billion. This is what I want you to do. How much of the budget,
Yeah.
2 trillion, is 150 billion? Do that. So
I
the
don't even
budget,
know.
not the
Yeah,
deficit
yeah.
total, but the budget of the year is something like 2 trillion.
Right.
Okay, so
And
that's
how
the
much?
annual budget. The government does not have this money, obviously. How much of that is 150 billion?
I got to figure out how many zeros are in a trillion.
Well, just ask the computer
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't know how many zeros it is either, to be honest with
Here
you.
we go. We're looking for what percentage?
What percentage of
of 2
trillion is 150 billion? So everybody is up in
All right, you
arms,
ready?
good or bad,
You
up in
ready?
arms with Doge getting out here and slashing.
They're going to use. They got to use the.
We're trying, folks.
They got to use the other.
How many?
Siri's-
Throw it in.
Siri can't even
Think.
figure it out.
Yes, think of it in your brain, everybody, while we go through this, as we close out these expenses.
It is 7.5%. 150 billion.
That's it.
That's not a lot.
No.
It's not
That's
going
it.
to make it. Maybe they can retire off it. It's a little higher than 4. But that's
There you
not
go.
a lot. It's not going to make it, right? Here's some other things other factors you could consider, which another one would be like a pension, if your job offers it.
Right,
Now,
of
there's
course.
I feel like there's not that many out there, but I could be completely mistaken.
It depends on what you
in
do.
this.
Some people
field.
know that their line of work is going to have pension stuff involved with it because they're in some sort of union that might give a pension. They work for
I feel
a
like that's why they picked it. A lot of
state or
times.
local government.
Yep.
That is why they picked it. And these people generally are not happy with their job. They just did it. I don't know if you just did it, but one of the factors is the fact that it will happen.
Yep.
I know a lot of city employees and county employees in our area. I do a lot of work in our community, and plenty of them are counting the days at 35 years old because they said, well, I just have to go 12 more. I just have to go 15 more.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? But hey,
So they want
they
the
might
pension.
have some stability with that pension.
Yeah,
in their
can't wait till they're done working, and they want to make sure they have the money, and then they want to be done. And
Right,
they
of
didn't
course.
like it.
Military. We got a
Yeah.
lot of servicemen and women out there, and in our family, same thing. They know they're going to get a pension, or at least they believe they will. And heck, that's money that just keeps coming.
Yep.
Okay,
So-
and of course, passive income. Let's try to figure out ways which we think is really important. We don't harp on it enough. We're going to have to get some more content around that. But how in the world can we have not a nest egg, but have income coming in
Yep.
passively?
So this is the big one that we loved and love to talk about. In fact, we believe so strongly in passive income or generating cash flow that we would say, even in this episode that we're talking to you about, the traditional way of getting to retirement, we'd say rethink that. Rethink the traditional way of getting to retirement and go for a more passive income or cash flow approach. Because cash flow means, how would you break down cash flow if you had to give a definition off the top of your head as opposed to looking it up in the dictionary?
The difference between the pile of money, this is Scrooge McDuck.
Yep.
The pile of money is the flow of money, the circulation of dollars.
There you go.
Because I need to eat every day. I need to travel every day. I need to have an air conditioner every day. It's just
Yep.
the way I live. And I'm not special. You guys understand that. These are normal things. So when we're talking about income and passive income, cash flow and circulation, we are talking about the movement of the dollars,
There you go.
not the stagnant pile.
So we've developed this idea to go for the more cash flow, passive income approach to the retirement game. And we do that by using the infinite banking concept. What's really unique and key about the infinite banking concept is it actually allows you to save and spend at the same time. We call that our save and spend system. And what that means to you, more practically, more broken down, is that we're actually going for a savings approach to whatever the end goal is, including retirement. We're going for a savings approach to that while generating the cash flow needed in order to live life, in order to do life, in order to purchase things and have things. Now you can combine the savings element and the cash flow element, the save and the spend side, right? And go all for retirement if that's your goal. But because I'm not at retirement age yet, my plan and structure right now is to take the save part of the save and spend inside of the infinite banking concept. We're going to, of course, use that for a big long-term goal down the road. Retirement is definitely something I think about. I don't want to be working forever. So that's a big long-term goal down the road. But the spend part, the cash flow that generates, I'm actually using it now to do even other more passive income strategies because I want to generate as much cash flow as I can. The more cash flow I have coming in, the easier it actually makes my day-to-day life. It makes my family life. It makes my stress level, right? The more cash flow I've got coming in, the easier it is to make decisions.
Here's the
right?
question that I have
That's
for the
what's
people
key.
and you, Jonah. How would you live your life differently? How would you sleep better tonight if you knew you had more cash flow coming in tomorrow than today? And every night you went to bed, that was what you knew to be true.
Yep.
Would you live your life differently if you knew at age 80 or 90 you would win the lottery?
Oh, sure.
100%. You
Yeah.
knew it was coming.
Yeah. I'd live completely different, right?
Right. So those questions can be helpful questions when you consider what we're talking about. The way to consider that on your own, ladies and gentlemen, is get this book, Becoming Your Own Banker. We haven't introduced that word into the system yet, but let me tell you about the philosophy behind infinite banking concept as developed mentally by R. Nelson Nash and proposed to you as a field guide right here in this book. It's going to help you think about that type of question. How does life look different if you control the system with income that is, some people call it invisible income,
Sure.
non-taxable income coming in over and over, more and more each and every year, each and every month? Everything goes. So let's go to some key takeaways here, but first let's give a shout to our fan follow of the week.
Sometimes when you see their handle, you can find out their name because they put their name above it, under it. But for Average Trader 90, I don't see that. I just see that he's a trader. And
Well,
it sounds like he's an avid trader.
My man.
Maybe he was born in the 90s. I don't know. I'm just spitballing off of his username.
We're doing the best we can out
right?
here, but we appreciate you being here, whoever you
appreciated
are.
That you decided to subscribe to our channel. Hopefully, not only did he subscribe, but he hit the notification bell so he'll know that we're dropping new YouTube content this week. We've got new videos coming out. We've got videos that come out every single week. And if you leave us a comment or give us a thumbs up or something, we'll come back to you. We'll like your comment. We'll answer your question. And we'll make sure that you get the most out of our channel. You'll be introduced to us. You'll have your questions answered. And, of course, you can click the link in any of the descriptions on our videos or the link that's on our channel, on our bio page, and you can book your free consultation call because we'd love to talk to you about your retirement plan. What are you planning? Are you going for the nest egg? Are you going for the cash flow? Do you want to talk more about what we are doing, this infinite banking concept? Let us know. We'll be more than happy to talk and walk you through it.
Let's go. Key takeaways from this episode. Remember, calculate your monthly expenses. There's easy tricks we gave you to figure some of those things out in 20 minutes.
Yep.
Get them annualized. Figure out the monthly, get them annualized, and start to think about how much it takes for you to live in the world today, and consider taxes, inflation, longevity, and healthcare costs for the future, for your retirement years. Use the 4% rule to realize that if you don't have that type of nest egg, you need a new plan. Use the 4% rule to prove to you that it's becoming more and more outdated. Less and less financial planners are typically using it now because we realize this is not going to work for most people, or there's no actual retirement. They just keep working.
Yep.
Consider your passive income strategies and your alternate income, how that's coming in, where it's coming in, when it's coming in, how it's going to be taxed as well, and then live your life accordingly.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at yourself in an old app to figure out what your face is going to look like. That's a wrap on the Banking Bros episode. Hopefully you've got a better grasp on how you need to save and spend for the future, and whether or not your plan of a pile or a big smile, because you know you're going to win in the end, is coming to fruition.
Yeah, it's not about aiming for a perfect number. this is exactly the number I need. It's about crafting the retirement that works for you. So it doesn't matter if you're planning to cruise the world. I'm getting on every boat. You know, the average age of cruise passengers is like 70 years old.
Because it's cheaper to live on a boat.
Yeah, but if that's what you're doing, awesome. Or if you just want to enjoy a cozy life, the key is to plan today. Start early. Know what you're shooting for. So go ahead and start those plans. Put them into action. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe. And you can stay tuned for new episodes, more fun tips, and more information from the Banking Bros.
You are now tuned to the Banking Bros. Said we couldn't make it, drink or settle, this the life we chose. Gave a lot of game, we never got a lot of things. Bow your head and say the prayer, we taught you how to be the bank.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of thinking through your retirement years and your desirement strategy for the life you want to live. Free consultation calls are ready for you. All you got to do is click the link at saveandspendsystem.com and chat with one of our coaches about your code cracking cash flow identity.